socialism, not globalism. The era of economic surrender will finally be over. We will no longer surrender this country or its people to the false song of globalism.
They have gotten the political establishment and the media establishment to become pure, wanton henchmen of totalitarianism.
If you were a foreign power looking to weaken America, you couldn't do better than Hillary Clinton's economic agenda.
I think what the Chinese have done is really smart.
The skyscrapers went up in Beijing and many other cities around the world, while the factories and neighborhoods crumbled right here in Detroit.
It's all training us to accept less, lowering expectations, a post-industrial world, a new dark age. That's what the UN Biological Diversity Assessment 1996 calls for.
When we abandoned the policy of America first, we started rebuilding other countries instead of our own.
Not a world, Winston, that gets more beautiful and more technological and stronger. A world that gets uglier and stupider and more stunted.
That the government should allow Hillary Clinton to become president of the United States.
I voted for Hillary Clinton.
Well, I voted for Hillary. I guess I have to since I'm working for her as well.
You want an image of the future, Winston? It's a boot stomping on a human face forever.
Muslims are peaceful and tolerant people and have nothing whatsoever to do with terrorism.
Women are treated, discriminated against in all of these countries she took money against. Gays and lesbians are either executed or punished severely. They're mistreated. She claims to be their champion.
Don't look at me, Winston, and see the black circles around my eyes and see how ugly and weak I am, expressing myself and dying, that I torture people 18 hours a day, that I have a horrible life. That's the beauty of the satanic evil of the priest of power, ripping apart humanity. We're here to hurt humans. We're here to suck your guts out.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance.
Welcome into this special broadcast, InfoWars coverage of President Trump's, he's listening, he's having a session on healthcare right now. We're going to cover this. Actually, we're going to start this from the beginning. This started about 10, 20 minutes ago. We're going to go ahead and restart this from the beginning and give you commentary and coverage of it. And before we get started, as we've got the crew working here, I just want to thank the listeners out there. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do this. You guys have really taken InfoWars to the next level. You've supported the broadcast. You've come through for Alex, and he's ready to come through for you. And that's why he is working double time, 7 days a week now. We are doing more live broadcasts, introducing more groundbreaking products for you, and just trying to do more to try to take this republic back. I think that Alex may even be a bit inspired by Donald Trump and all the hard work that he's doing right now to try to restore this country to the greatness that it once had. And from what I heard so far, and we're gonna restart this from the beginning. He is live right now. I mean, he's just having hay with Obamacare. He's got some people that he says are victims of Obamacare in there that he's talking to. And actually today was the first day I actually got this. It was called 1600 Daily, and it was a news release that I got in email that was basically just an update for Donald Trump's schedule for the day and everything that was going on that day. So kind of a daily newsletter, I suppose, coming out of the White House now, 1600 Daily, a little bit different than what other things that I get from Trump, you know, this, that, or the other notifications that I get via email. This was just kind of a chart. It was called 1600 Daily. It was the first time I saw it today. But on the schedule was President Trump leading a listening session on healthcare. So just want to thank you guys, thank the crew. This is how we make things happen with your support, and we get more live broadcasts. So if we are ready to go with Donald Trump, Rob, if you want to give me a thumbs up. All right, so let's go to Donald Trump holding a listening session on healthcare. And again, folks, we are just a little bit behind here. And here you see Donald coming into the room. He's got Mike Pence there with him, I think. Did I see Pence? I couldn't tell. I do want to mention this this sculpture in the background. You're going to see it's a bull. It looks like going against two wolves. I think that Donald I don't know if he put that there or someone else, but it's kind of like illustrative, I think, of what Donald Trump is doing right now. He's a bull going against all these wolves, just standing right in the face as they're gnashing their teeth at him. So let's go to Donald Trump. President Donald Trump.
It's a great honor for you to share your personal story.
The buffalo.
Struggle under the enormous strain of
Going against the wolves.
By the very, very failed and failing ObamaCare law. Secretary Price and I, along with my entire administration, and a lot of people in the Senate and a lot of people in the House, are committed to repealing and replacing this disastrous law with a health care plan that lowers cost, expands choice, and ensures access for everyone. You represent the millions of Americans who have seen their Obamacare premiums increase by double digit and even triple digits. In Arizona, the rates are over 116% last year. 116% increase. And the deductibles are so high you don't even get to use it. Many Americans lost their plans and doctors altogether, and 1/3 of the counties, think of it, 1/3 only have one insurer left. I mean, the insurance companies are fleeing. They're gone. So many gone. The House bill to repeal and replace Obamacare will provide you and your fellow citizens with more choices, far more choices, at lower cost. Americans should pick the plan they want. Now they'll be able to pick the plan they want. They'll be able to pick the doctor they want. They'll be able to do a lot of things that the other plan was supposed to give and it never gave.
The lie, you can keep your doctor, the big lie.
You remember that one. We're not going to have one size fits all. Instead, we're going to be working to unleash the power of the private marketplace to let insurers come in and compete for your business. And you'll see rates go down, 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 and you'll see plans go up, up, up. You have a lot of choices. You'll have plans that nobody's even thinking of today. They will have plans that today nobody has even thought about, because the market's going to enforce that with millions and millions of people wanting health care. More competition and less regulation will finally bring down the cost of care, and I think it'll bring it down very
That's right, capitalism.
Unfortunately, it takes a while to get there because you have to let that marketplace kick in, and it's going to take a little while to get there. Once it does, it's going to be a thing of beauty. I wish it didn't take a year and 2 years, but that's what's going to happen, and that's the way it works. But we're willing to go through that process. Working together, we'll get the job done. And I have to say this just in closing, and then I want to hear some of your stories, and we'll let the press stay for your stories if you like. But the press is making Obamacare look so good all of a sudden. I'm watching the news. Looks so good. They're showing these reports about this one gets so much and this one gets so much. First of all, it covers very few people, and it's imploding. And 17 will be the worst year. And I said it once, I'll say it again, because Obama's gone. You know, things are going to be very bad this year for the people with Obamacare. They're going to have tremendous increases. And the Republicans, frankly, are putting themselves in a very bad position. I tell this to Tom Price all the time.
I love how he says it like he's not a Republican.
Obamacare, because
it's beautiful.
People aren't going to see the truly devastating
He's truly not.
effects of Obamacare. They're not going to see the devastation in 17 and 18 and 19. It'll be gone by then. Whether we do it or not, it'll be imploded off the map. So the press is making it look so wonderful, so that if we end it, everyone's going to say, oh, remember how great Obamacare used to be. Remember how wonderful it used to be. It was so great. It's a little bit like President Obama. When he left, people liked him. When he was here, people didn't like him so much. That's the way life goes. That's human nature. The fact is, Obamacare is a disaster. And I say this to the Republicans all the time, by repealing it, by getting rid of it, by ending it, everyone's going to say, oh, it used to be so great. But it wasn't great. And I tell Tom Price, and I tell Paul Ryan, I tell every one of them, I say the best thing you can do politically is wait a year, because it's going to blow itself off the map. But that's the wrong thing to do for the country. It's the wrong thing to do for our citizens. So with that, I'd like to introduce some of the folks, and you could say a few words about your experience with Obamacare, and perhaps the press will even report it.
So,
Would you like to start?
so here it is, going to the people, going to the citizens, and then taking a jab at the press. I love that.
3 times they were before Obamacare started. We have one provider in our county.
There it is.
We have very little options.
So he takes what he says and then he proves it.
We're a small
Because the
business
media would
owner.
try to
We're
spin it
actually
and say
not
it
a
doesn't
brick and
exist,
mortar.
whatever he
We are
says.
cattle ranchers. We can't afford our equipment if we're paying these rates year after year after year. Our food source is in jeopardy because of this healthcare law. It's my basic.
I know. It's all right. Don't worry. Don't worry. This is what's happening. It's gone up 3 times, and then you have to pay. If you don't want to use it, you have to pay. That's the all-time beauty. If you don't want to use it, you have to pay. And Tom, you have to pay big league, right? So people say, well, if I use it, I use it. I'm paying too much.
See, he brings
If I
these
don't use it,
people
I have to
in and he
pay.
hears their real life
Okay.
stories, folks.
And
He has
you ever
the
pay
human
penalties?
touch.
You ever do that, or you have to?
We haven't as of yet, but we were uninsured in December. They dropped us for the 4th time after we paid over $50,000 last year for healthcare expenses.
And it's gone up triple.
Yes,
And before Obamacare, you actually had good health care.
we did. We had a fantastic
A lot of
system.
people. Nobody ever takes that into account. I'm not saying the system before was good, because it wasn't. But millions of people had great health care that they loved. Now, when you start deducting those millions of people from the so-called people that are happy, you have a very small number of people that are happy. That I can tell you. How about you?
Well, we're kind of the same story as Carrie. In 2009, I left a full-time job to be a stay-at-home mom to 2 kids. For our family, it was never an option to get government assistance. We just don't believe our neighbors should work harder so that we don't have to. So my husband said, if you can pay for our insurance, which at the time was $650 a month for private health insurance for a family of 4, then that was fine. From 2009 to 2015, that private insurance went up by 102%.
Wow.
Finally, his employer told us in 2015, when it went up the final time, an additional 34%, that they couldn't carry our family anymore. So I had to enter back into the workforce, but I couldn't find a job that offered health insurance. So we entered under Obamacare, and we believe the sales pitch that if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. So even though we were going to have to pay $1,300 a month for Obamacare, we thought we'd still be okay with our doctors. We were on it for 5 months. Our pediatrician for our children wouldn't take it. My doctor wouldn't take it. So we paid him $8,000 in 5 months, and we're never able to use it. And I think what makes our family story unique is we're by no means wealthy. In 2014, when we entered the exchange, we made $53,000 as a family. My husband and I together, that was our gross income. And then in 2015, we made
And
together.
look at that.
so I go
And
back
then
to work,
Donald Trump
$74,000. But when you look at
puts it
paying
in the
$10,000
three-dimensional
in
world
health
for you to see.
premiums and insurance and health costs, you know.
So it's been a rough job.
It has.
He's tuned
It's been
into
hard.
everything. I don't know how he does it.
We'll be so happy to see
But see,
it
what
gone.
the
it's
Obamacare supporters
almost
will
our
do is
family
they'll bring out the people and say,
financial
hey, look, I
ruin.
got the
And
health care. I got the
that's
free
a lot
health
of
care.
people.
So,
businesses and finance.
and that's probably what they're going to do, but it's a form of welfare. They're pushing welfare is what they're pushing.
Businesses. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, first of all, Mr. President, thank you for having us here. I think it's a great opportunity to tell the American people like ourselves that have struggled with the healthcare law. I myself am from Miami. Haven't had very much time to prepare, but you know, the President of the United States calls and I'm here for you. You know, so it just so happened I had every single year for the past couple of years I've had a different insurance every single year. Before I had an individual plan. My wife and I. My wife is an attorney. I'm a computer programmer. I'm a small business. My wife is a small business, and I just don't understand what happened. You know, I have a daughter with a disability. We've changed our plan every year.
The insurance was good before Obamacare.
Oh, absolutely. I never
Many
had.
people are like that. Many plans were great before Obamacare. They were so happy. And that doesn't justify a system before Obamacare. But people are miserable now, and it's putting people out of business. It's putting them in the poorhouse. Go ahead.
It's just that we had to. They canceled our plans, and I couldn't understand why they canceled our plans. So we had no other choice. I remember the President of the United States say that individual plans will not be covered in them. You either have to have an employer-based plan. I do not work for the government. I do not work for a large employer.
Very unfair.
We are ground zero. My case is ground zero for the healthcare law.
And you represent a lot of people in the same situation.
Absolutely.
It's very unfair.
My friend here, she's in the same situation, and I think it's very, very unfair. And I think that what the real scenario was that this law was supposed to implode, like you were saying. Right. And my parents are from, came from communist Cuba. They know what socialism is all about. So I know what socialism is, and that's pretty much this whole system was meant to have one single provider.
Well, it turns out so expensive, it's almost not socialism when you think of it.
Right.
You've got to pay so much. What do you think? Go ahead.
I'm from Arizona, and I can tell you that the 116% increase is real. It's not a myth. I lost my plan 3 times during the Obamacare era. After losing it this year, I decided to opt out. So right now, I do not have traditional health care. And I went from a $365 a month premium last year to a $809 premium this year.
And a higher deductible.
The deductible was going to be $6,800, no copays.
Right.
So if I went to the doctor, I would be paying out of my pocket, and it just didn't seem like a good use of my money. I felt like I would be a better steward of that $17,000 at the end of the year should I ever reach my deductible, and just decided to opt out. I went into a faith-based share program, and I'm doing that. One of the reasons I felt like I can do this, you totally are taking a leap of faith,
right.
Is because I think I know you're going to get this taken care of. So I thought it's only going to be for a year. I will be on this program. I will opt out of traditional health care for health insurance, and I think you're going to get it done.
You have a lot of people in Arizona paying a big penalty?
Yes.
They're paying the penalty.
Well, and my husband also owns his own business and can't afford to offer insurance to his employees, and his employees who are also in the independent market, it's just getting too much. And I've had individual insurance for 25 years, since I started my business. So I've always been in that individual market. I've always done what was right. I took responsibility for myself, made sure I was covered for healthcare, because I'm a business person. I don't want any, huge healthcare expenses to affect, money, that could be going to my business, now having to go to a health expense. So I was, in my mid-20s when I said, we've always got to get square with this. I have to have insurance, so I have.
Well, thank you very much.
Until this year.
The people of Arizona have been hit very, very hard. At least 116%. Here's the bad news. It's going to go up more this year. Now, if we repeal it, nobody's going to know that.
Yeah.
And the press is going to say how wonderful it was. And gee, we miss Obamacare. That's the problem. It's the biggest problem I have, Tom.
Exactly.
We're going to do them a big favor, but it's not the right way. Go ahead.
Mr. President,
Thank you. Thank you very much, Louis.
My name is Louis Brown. I work for the Christ Medicus Foundation, an attorney by training. In 2009, when the Affordable Care Act was going through Congress, what became the Affordable Care Act, I was working for the Democratic National Committee at the time. I resigned my position because I could tell that the Democratic bill that was going through Congress wanted to publicly fund abortion, and that's not something that I could go along with. So I resigned my position, later worked for Congressman Dan Lundgren in Congress, and went on to eventually work for the Christ Medicus Foundation. We were focused on building a culture of life, protecting religious liberty in healthcare, protecting the right of conscience, prohibiting the public funding of abortion, and also prohibiting non-discrimination against pro-life medical providers. I, especially as an African American, I'm a graduate of Howard University School of Law.
Good school.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And I know from St. John Paul II, he said that all of our human and civil rights that we believe in as Americans, that we share as Americans, the right to health care, the right to medical care, to housing, to all of these different things, are illusory if the right to life isn't defended with maximum determination. 17 million African Americans, it's shown, that probably have been aborted since Roe v. Wade. And I supported you in the presidential election.
Thank you.
Gave several speeches in Michigan telling folks to vote pro-life in the general election. and really happy that you're here to continue the bipartisan belief that there should be no taxpayer funding of abortion, and also really to support your effort to show that the patient, the human person, should be at the center of our American healthcare system, not the government. The government has its place, but the patient should be the center. So I'm happy to support you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you. That's so nice.
Wow, that was powerful right there from Lewis Brown.
Yes,
that
go
was
ahead,
really
Mr. President,
powerful.
thank you so much for
A former DNC
inviting me.
member.
My name is Dr. Manny, and I run a
Pro-life.
nonprofit called Healthy Tennessee across Tennessee. I'm a trauma surgeon. But what we do
I'll
is
be in Tennessee on Wednesday.
we look forward to hosting you, sir.
I'll see you there.
Yes, sir. We do these large community events where, in rural Appalachia, across Tennessee, where we host these health fairs taking care of patients. So it's really a grassroots effort, something that you understand better than anybody, where people come out just to help people, doctors, nurses on the ground, helping folks with preventative medicine, educating folks. That's what we do. But the one thing I've been seeing across Tennessee is that folks really can't afford these rising premiums. So what they're doing is effectively they're paying the tax penalty, and they're not, because it's cheaper and it works out better than paying for the insurance. And so that's been a big problem that we're seeing across the state.
They said it didn't exist.
So thank you so much for what you're doing to tackle this problem.
So you've seen a big problem, and the way out of the problem is to do a plan much more like the plan we're going to get done.
Yes, sir.
We will
Yes,
get
sir.
that out.
Yes,
We will
sir.
get that out. Without penalties too, by the way. People don't mention all of the facts. No, the other thing about what we're talking about, we
Planned
have a
Parenthood
three-phase
standing
plan.
in
They
our
only want to
way
talk about the first
of this
phase. The
ridding
first phase
ourselves
is
of
just
this
the
nightmare.
most basic of phases. And then you have phase 2, which is largely done by our secretary, and then you have phase 3, which is a lot of the bells and whistles, but they don't want to talk about the bells and whistles. So they're really comparing things to something that won't be there for long. And the reason we have to do it that way is because of Congress. I'd love to do it all in one package, but if you did it that way, it can't get done. So we're going to get something done.
And they
that's
want to
gonna be
tell you he
terrific. I
doesn't know what
appreciate
he's
it. Thank you,
talking
Dr.
about.
President.
He knows exactly what he's talking about.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity.
Everything he just said was spot on.
I too am from Tennessee. And I'm too.
Let's go to the next citizen. He wants to hear more from the citizens.
The
Look
effect
at
I've
that.
had
The president and the vice president, both right now, at a round table with citizens.
My daughter's insurance is supplied through her work. I buy my own. And I've seen the increases since ObamaCare to the tune of about $5,000 a year just for me. And I'm considering taking the option of the penalty to...
The penalty they said didn't exist.
The penalty is, though, if I
would say, I mean, I took the penalty. I didn't get Obamacare.
Catastrophic plan because I'm
you know what my health care is? A healthy breakfast every morning. And InfoWars products.
Not only is my income penalized, but my wife's income as well, who makes considerable more money than I do, but she has insurance. So I don't think that's fair, and I don't think the rate increase is just astronomical. And I'm in the county that only has one option. Blue Cross
And that's the only thing they can do. Of course the increases are astronomical. They're losing money on this deal. Obamacare is so failing, they're getting sued. They don't have the funds. They have to pull it from the real estate market, the housing market. So yeah, of course they're going to skyrocket these prices. They have to somehow fund this thing.
The suppliers in every county. There's
Total
35 counties in Tennessee
treading on
has
us.
no
That's what
option
this is.
at all right now. I don't know what those folks do.
You know what that means? That means somebody's going to make a lot of money. You know that. They're going to make a lot of money. Somebody's, well, few. You're not going to make. They're going to make.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
There are
You
people
think the
very happy
insurance
about
companies
this
liked this
situation.
bill? Actually, they ended up hating it because it failed so miserably. They had to sue.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm a physician in Texas, and thank you for allowing me to be here today. And I'll tell you, what I've seen is that a lot of patients really are not adequately covered by Obamacare. It was supposed to cover people, but like everyone has said here, with the rising premiums and the rising deductibles, I take care of patients in the hospital, and patients are shocked to get a $20,000 bill and to find that they're responsible for $6,000 of that because their deductible is so high. And that's just a situation that cannot continue. Medicaid expansion under Obamacare really doesn't cover folks either, because many physicians are not even taking Medicare. They're not accepting it any longer in the outpatient setting. And so folks who have chronic medical illnesses like cancer, my wife is a breast cancer survivor, And most of her treatment was actually as an outpatient and was very expensive outpatient care. Most physicians don't even accept Medicaid, so those patients are still uncovered.
Right,
and so the Medicaid expansion really hasn't covered them. The folks who have Obamacare insurance really are inadequately covered as well because they're still paying extremely high premiums and then having to pay extremely high deductibles. And so it's really—
And do they even reach it with the high deductibles? They don't even reach it for
you know, oftentimes they do not, unless they have some sort of serious medical problem and they're in the hospital and it's very expensive, they don't even reach their deductible oftentimes. And so it's unfortunate. And so I really appreciate it. I actually read the bill that's been produced, that's coming out of the House now. And I really like a lot of the changes in it. I think that it's going to correct a lot.
We'll talk about that bill.
A lot of the issues that Obamacare has had. So I really appreciate what you all are doing.
I appreciate it, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Say hello to your wife.
Yes, sir.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gina?
Mr. President, I'm Gina. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm a nurse. I'm a mom. And I am part of that huge group of middle-class families that were impacted by the ACA.
Look at this Russian agent.
Before ACA,
This Russian agent Trump brings Americans from all walks of life to figure out how we can make healthcare better in America. What a commie.
Just asking him,
trying to rid ourselves of this socialist nightmare.
Completely, so that we can obtain a subsidy, a job that I love as a nurse in a hospital that I love, or do I uproot my family and try to find a job with benefits that doesn't even cover the medical.
So the healthcare, the Obamacare forced you to actually, in a sense, forces you economically and almost potentially to get another job.
Right.
Even though you like your job.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the healthcare bill is now like a life-changing thing for you. You have to now change your life around this bill.
But that came with a price.
Obamacare.
Because I was working 3 days a week and spending time with my.
Well, I mean, you got to pay for everyone's health care. I mean, anybody we got to take, you pay for it. And all the abortions. I mean, come on. That's your duty as American.
Because we could not afford a premium.
That's what Obama said.
$1,200 per month and deductible that didn't cover anything. To find a job
Meaning the
with
deductible
benefits.
was so high that essentially, unless you had a really big problem, you wouldn't even be able to use it.
Correct, yes. And we're still in that boat. I mean, right now our deductible is $6,500. And so if I have a child who's
What a
experiencing
nightmare.
it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars. Just last week, my daughter had a fever, and I sent her to school for 3 days straight because I had to work to afford our insurance, and I couldn't afford to bring her to the doctor. So it has been.
You can tell she's holding back tears right now.
Not having insurance at all. Right. A lot of Obamacare.
Having to
you don't
send her
really
sick
have
kid to
insurance
school because she has to go to work to get health care.
That you really don't have insurance.
Wasn't that way before Obamacare.
All right. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
President, thank you very much for hosting us.
Thank you, Greg.
I have to start with something. As I was leaving the house, my 11-year-old ran up to me and said, "Dad, I'd like to have you give this to Mr. President for me."
And then it's like, I might as well not even have a job because I can just get the health care.
Be able to write to the President of the USA. I think you're a great
And then nobody
president
works, and then you have your medical tyranny.
Also, don't worry, the picture of you on the front of this looks nothing like you. Siobhan,
that's very nice.
I interrupted him. Was that something from his kid? Did anybody catch that? That's pretty. It looked pretty funny.
All we have is orange. Well, thank you, boy. So I had the privilege of meeting with Secretary Price and Vice President Pence in Cincinnati about a week and a half ago at a round table, and I'll share with you what I shared with them. I started with a quote from the great President Ronald Reagan, who said the most terrifying words in the English language are, "We're from the government and we're here to help." Kind of my feeling on healthcare. Frankly, I think that the system was broken before the last administration got their hands on it. I started my company 21 years ago, and I had a vision of wanting to provide 100% full family health care for as long as I had a company, because I really felt in my heart that it was the right thing to do. I was one of the last holdouts, but sadly, after about 15 years, I really had a choice of either having a company or being able to provide my employees that level of health care. And that's sad. You know, I tell
That's
my
what
wife all the
Obama
time,
wanted.
you can have anything you want.
You didn't build that
We just can't
business.
have everything we want. We have the best healthcare system in the world. We do. But it needs to be fixed. What small business owners like
It's just like the
myself,
minimum
I'm
wage
a
thing. It
manufacturer,
prices
so
people out of the
Midwestern
market.
manufacturing.
It forces
What we'd
people
like to see
into
is
the socialist hands.
not a government-operated market, but a free market. You know, I sell capital equipment for a living. We have a trade show every year, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people selling competitive products. If we had a healthcare show in my town, there'd be 3 or 4 people under that roof. And as a businessman yourself, you know what that does to driving down cost or the lack thereof.
Right.
So we would like to see more of a free market solution, going back to what made this country great. You know, entrepreneurialism instead of empowerments, work ethics instead of welfare.
Oh, and then you don't end up with monopolies. You don't end up with fixing of the markets. That's what you have now, monopolies and fixed markets.
In a position like you are. So we're going to do that largely. I think beyond.
Oh, but if you
everything,
fix it
if you look
as
at
a
what's
social
gonna
justice
happen, the
warrior, then it's
competitive
okay, see?
Every element of what we're doing is competitive bidding, but we have to take care of people who need the help. And there are a lot of people like that.
There's always been a safety net in the United
It's gotta
States,
be.
and there should
It's
be.
gotta be.
Unfortunately, when I see 50,000 or 50 million Americans taking, assistance in their marketing food stamps.
Right.
That's like, for the people who
Yeah,
really
record
can't
high
provide
under Obama
themselves,
for food stamps.
we're all charitable people.
Not even
We're
close.
Americans.
Record
We're the most
high.
generous
Might have
nation
even
on the face of
overall
the
gone
earth.
up to 100
So
million?
I totally believe in
Not
in
fully
safety
relying,
nets
but
for
just
those who
receiving
need
some
them.
form.
Not free handouts for
We're
those
going to help a
who
lot
just
of
don't
people,
want
but
them.
we are going to be very much free market. People that can afford it will go out, and they'll be off the cost. Go ahead, Stan.
I'm Commissioner Stan Summers from Boxler County, northern Utah. I think I'm probably the only other elected official here besides you guys. It's been an interesting ride to watch the healthcare system in the last 26 years. When my son was born,
Yeah, there you
he
go.
was
Under
3.5
Obama,
months premature,
10.7 million more
26
used food
years
stamps,
ago,
32%
and we had really
jump.
good insurance. We basically didn't have to pay anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't afford your health care,
What
so
we were doing, from
quit your
where I
job,
worked.
get some food
As
stamps.
time went on, you could kind of tell the healthcare system has been a little bit broke, and then all of a sudden the ACA, and I'm not going to call it the other word, I call it the last president's healthcare program. I don't even say that.
No,
name.
say it. Own it.
Anyway,
Obama needs to own this miserable
Yeah,
nightmare.
exactly.
The Democrats need to own this nightmare.
It's got to the point where
Oh, well,
I
the
own
Republicans
a couple
too, I
businesses
guess.
too,
Romney was in on
and
this
do the
deal.
things that I have to do. I actually ran for government so I could have
But this is Obama's baby.
and won. But now I'm looking at these people saying, how can I provide insurance for them without raising taxes and doing these things that are happening?
Right.
Because everything's going up. Utah didn't expand Medicaid. We weren't a part of that, and we can see why now because of the things that are happening throughout the nation with states and companies and everybody else going bankrupt. So it got to the point where I ended up not only with my businesses, had to drive school bus to keep my wife at home with my kid that was ill. So now I own 3 businesses, I drive school bus, and I'm an elected official to be able to continue to do the things I need to do with healthcare. The last 3 years.
So it's gone through the roof.
Oh, I've got a $6,000 deductible, HSA, but I will meet that again in 3 months. So I'm at 40, I think my wife said this morning at 48 or 4,900 bucks already this year in March to be able to meet my out-of-pocket maximum. And so by the time April comes, I would have met that to be able to continue to do. And if there was one thing I probably could ask you about, and my boy's got a rare disease, and I appreciate you talking about the rare community in your speeches, is that if somebody has cancer or somebody has a rare disease or continues to have problems, why do we have to do a deductible every year? I mean, so I'm sitting there at Christmas going, okay, my deductible's been met for 6 or 8 months, and I'm going to turn around and have to do it again for the same disease, for the same symptoms, for the same everything.
Well, they have to make up for their lost.
It's all about the risk.
Their lost, the deficit by raising the prices. That's why the prices go up.
For individuals with chronic disease, there's no doubt about it.
Well, and I appreciate you even thinking about it and talking about grassroots, and when you're talking about all the people that we support with the farmers and ranchers and the small business people.
And it just fails even more because then you have this guy who'll work 4 jobs to try to pay, but then the price keeps going up and eventually he gets priced out.
Per capita. And Nucor would love to tell you thanks. Nucor Steel would love to tell you thanks for everything that you've been doing.
Nucor's been very good. It's going to get better too.
And we've got a ton of those. The space program, we used to make the shuttle.
Right.
Rocket boosters out at ATK, Morton and Thykol. And
just
price
keeps going up.
Space program. I got a really good
Those
friend.
days are gone, but they're coming back.
I've got a friend that's going to go up in the next little bit.
Affordable Care Act, ObamaCare. What a joke.
Spaceship from Russia, but he would love to come back to the United States and be able to go up through the United States. So all those jobs I know will come back with you.
Well, Gary Cohn, who's sitting right next to you.
If there's anything we can do.
He's a big believer in what you're saying, right, Gary?
If there's anything we can do to help you, the counties are behind you. We can find you low-hanging fruit to be able to pick off that tree.
This is
to help with
huge.
Jobs. Just let us know where we can help.
This is huge.
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you for your time.
Americans
anything to say,
bringing
Tom,
business back to
before we
America,
Well, I
making
think
America
started
great
the
again.
president
That's how it
really
works,
powerful,
folks.
About the consequences of the current law. And you hear people's lives that have been affected in remarkably adverse ways that sometimes you don't think about as it relates to
Obama doesn't care
healthcare.
about the consequences,
Whether
though,
it's
because you
businesses
see,
that
you're a
haven't been
bad
able to
American.
survive, or individuals who need to
Don't you
take
get it?
3, 4, 5 jobs,
You're paying
moms that
this
can't
health care
be
as a
with their
punishment
kids
for
when
being a
they're
bad
off.
American.
This is about real people. It's about real patients. And so working with you and your leadership, we are really excited about the opportunity to put in place a patient-centered system where patients and families and doctors are making decisions and not Washington, D.C.
What about the concept that, and everybody knows it's happening, that Obamacare is imploding, that if we don't do anything, it's not even going to be around in another year. The insurance companies are fleeing.
Right, or
but
suing.
now it seems to be getting this wonderful press like it's a wonderful thing, and it's a horrible thing, actually, and getting worse. And 17 will be by far the worst year so far.
Yes.
Because a lot of things were put into 17, but
Oh my
17
gosh.
is going to be worse, and I assume 18 will be worse even than 17. So it's essentially gone. How do you respond to that? Because I've been telling you, why don't we wait, just let it implode, and let's not take the blame. I've been telling you that as an option.
Yeah.
It's not an option I like, frankly, but it's certainly an option. How do you respond to
I
that?
think 18 can be better if we implement the law and we utilize the regulatory process to make some.
Well, I'm not
significant
saying
changes.
that. I'm saying if we don't implement the law, what
I
happens
understand.
with Obamacare? What's going on with Obama?
What you'll see is a magnification of all these stories around this table. More businesses being harmed, more
Bingo.
individuals not having the kind of income that disposable income that
Yep.
they use, more moms and dads not able to care for their
And
kids.
that table's
in the way
gonna have
that
to
they
be 4
believe is
times
most
as long
appropriate.
for the
More
next
people
one.
getting insurance, but no care. This is about real people's lives, and that's why it's so important.
Getting insurance but not being able to use it because the deductibles are so high too. I mean, you hear these stories where they're paying a fortune for insurance, and then you hear how high their deductible is, and unless they have a tragedy in their family,
Yeah.
they're never going to be able to use it.
Yeah, this fellow has to $13,000 before the insurance kicks in. That's what he has to pay, $13,000.
It's like not having insurance.
That's like not having insurance.
What
Keep
a
working.
nightmare.
Catastrophic plans now.
Exactly.
He's been working very hard, and he's doing a great job. Mr. Vice
That's
President,
Tom
do you
Price
have
who is
anything to
speaking,
say?
the
Well,
HHS,
Mr. President, I think what
HHS Secretary.
these great Americans see in high relief is
And
you're
here's
someone who
Vice
puts
President
people
Mike
over
Pence.
politics. I just want to thank all of them for coming and in front of the national media talking about the real world impacts of Obamacare. You've said it consistently over the last 2 years that Obamacare has failed, but these people are emblematic of the Americans that Obamacare has failed. And I just am so grateful for their time, but so grateful for your compassionate leadership in driving the Congress and driving our nation toward better healthcare outcomes for them and better solutions built on those American principles of more consumer choices, more free market, but also, as you said, caring for the most vulnerable by allowing our states to innovate in Medicaid in ways that will create even better healthcare coverage than they have today.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you have any message to people who are concerned about losing their insurance, either through Medicaid
Is this a
or
question from the media?
It'll get better. If we're allowed to do what we want to do, it'll get better, much better. Hopefully, it'll get very good. Sure takes a period of time. It does.
Thank you, President.
Sounds like questions from the media now.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, President.
Thanks.
Well, I think they're wrapping this up. Okay, so there you go. President Trump brings in some citizens who have had real life effects of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and he hears their stories. He listens to them. He presents that to the public. He gives it for you to make your decision on too, how you feel about their stories. And to me, I thought it was amazing. And I'm just curious, guys, did anyone else pick this up? Was mainstream media running this? Do you know? Fox or MSN or anybody? They're talking about it. Did they run it live, though? Do we know? So we don't think that anybody covered this live because my guess, honestly, maybe Fox. I guess it depends on who's on air. But MSNBC or CNN would, I mean, they could not be caught dead running something like that because it just kills every narrative that they've ever put out against Trump. So, of course, they're not going to run it live. They might want to cut it up and then find clips here or there that they can try to demonize him with. I don't know what you're going to demonize him with there. He pretty much just put people down at the table, heard their stories, the real life effects of Obamacare, and then just asked questions and just carried on a conversation. I thought it was amazing. Here's some other notes that I have. You know, and just for starters, has Barack Obama ever done anything close to this? Was the Obama administration or Barack Obama himself even close to this level of engagement? Even close to this level of work ethic? Even close to this effort, to this follow through, transparency? You got Pence and Trump both there. I mean, this is like, I mean, Trump has completely, he's already lapped Obama 5 times and he's been in office for 2 months. So Obama had 8 years to run these laps and Trump's lapped him 5 times in 2 months. I mean, it's just, it's really unbelievable. And he mentioned how he's got the numbers now in the House and in the Senate with the Republicans. He's got a mandate now. The Republicans are dominating right now as far as these votes are concerned. So there is a mandate and they can push these things through. The interesting thing, though, today, and this was one of the biggest stories on Drudge today out of Grabian News, headline, Ryan warns, Paul Ryan warns, if we don't pass my bill, the system is going to collapse. Well, why is Paul Ryan saying this on Face the Nation? Why is he making this dire statement, which is almost, I mean, it's almost kind of like a hostage statement, honestly, forcing you to take this bill, which I know that I haven't read fully, but things that I've seen in it that I don't like. It's better than Obamacare, but it's not what I think that we want long term. I just don't understand Paul Ryan coming out and basically holding us hostage, saying, if we don't pass this, we're screwed. It's like, well, wait a second. We're already screwed with Obamacare. That's why we're trying to fix it, Paul. So I don't understand Paul Ryan's tone in doing that. But nonetheless, that was what Paul Ryan said. An interesting number that Donald Trump mentioned, he said 1/3 of counties, I believe, I think he said nationwide. I could be wrong with that. He might have been speaking about one state. I kind of missed that. But 1/3 of counties where there's only one insurer offering insurance. That's a monopoly. And even if that's in one county in the entire great nation that we live in here, that's still one too many. So you cannot have monopolies with healthcare. That's completely un-American. That's completely unconstitutional. And that's what Obamacare has done. Oh, and can you believe how anti-woman he is? Having women on that panel, hearing stories from women, unbelievable anti-woman, just a total misogynist, that he would even listen to a woman's opinion. You know, he said that his plan, he thinks, will take about a year to get off its feet. And then he said, just, you know, after that, it'll just continue to get better and better once the competition, and it is nationwide. Thank you, Rob Dew, for putting that in my ear. I didn't want to put that out there if that was inaccurate. So 1/3 of counties nationwide now. I mean, it's like, I can't even say that. I don't even believe what I'm saying. 1/3 of the counties nationwide have a monopoly on health insurance. I don't even believe myself, but we had the crew look it up. Okay. So Trump says that he thinks it'll take about a year for his health insurance program to lift off, and it'll keep getting better once the competition hits, once, the general economic science, however those numbers work with the graphs and demand and costs and everything, it'll start to kick in. And he understands that, obviously, being a businessman. But it's interesting to me because I'm guessing that this is going to be one of the things that the Democrats take out of context. And they're going to say, oh, look, this great plan, it's going to take a year. Oh, my gosh. Well, let's recall when they passed Obamacare. Well, first of all, they said that we had to pass it to see what's in it. But when they did get it passed, they said, well, we have to be patient. We have to see. And eventually, once we get everybody to pay into this, then it'll work. So they said the same thing about theirs. But at the end of the day, what Obamacare really is, folks, is socialist welfare healthcare. That's really what it is at the end of the day. And that's un-American. And it's completely failed the American people. And that's why Donald Trump just held that listening session today. Because he knows most people are probably not going to hear those stories or know that those stories exist. They're only going to hear one side of things, which is the CNN's. Maybe they just tune into CNN. Again, like I said, I don't know if Fox News ran that live. I don't know what clips Fox News is going to run. Some of the hosts on Fox News, I feel like, want nothing to do with Trump making America great again. Others, I think, are great about it. But the point is, he does this so that he can reach the people directly. So he has people there, he talks to the citizens, and then he puts it out on the White House channel on YouTube for everybody to see. Or at least that's his goal. And it's up to the American people to get the truth out there. And he's done a lot of these. There's the conclusion there. He's done a lot of these, and I would imagine he's going to continue to do more of them. As I said, it looks like they've got a new newsletter coming out called 1600 Today, which is just an email they send out with just a daily briefing on everything the president is doing. So this is what Trump is doing to try to have the human touch and skip the filter of the mainstream news by bringing you real people, real stories in real time in the three-dimensional world, because he knows what's going to happen on the liberal media is they're going to say he's lying about this, those people don't exist, when they do exist. Just like at the rallies. Oh, yeah, well, it's like what he says at the rallies. The cameras, they never show the huge crowds. These crowds are huge. The liberal media, they never talk about these people who lost their health care, who can't afford their health care anymore. So he brings it to you in the three-dimensional world, and he gives those people a platform. In fact, that meeting wasn't even about him at all. He barely even spoke. He asked questions. Was that the 1600 newsletter that you guys were just showing there? Was that the new thing I was talking about? Because I just got that for the first time today. So that's a new thing that Trump is doing. I know that Alex has called for Trump to do the, nightly fireside chats or whatever have you. And as his presidency goes on, he's doing more of this. He's got the weekly address. He's doing these hearings. He's live all the time. Like I said, when the guy signs a bill, he does it in front of the media. I don't think Obama ever did that. I don't think Obama ever publicized all the bills that he signed, all the executive orders he signed. At least I don't remember. But there you go, folks. Donald Trump is doing something about the healthcare bill. Paul Ryan says pass his bill or else. And Trump is just trying to show the people that, I think what he's really doing here is he's trying to show the people, not just of America, because the people of America already know, but the people in Congress, the people in the House, the people in government that are actually going to be the ones that have to pass these new legislations. He's showing them, look, it's failing these people. It's killing small business, and it's unconstitutional when you're funding abortion. So all of these planes he's putting on display for government to say, look, we have to repeal this. We have to replace this. We have a mandate, and we have the American people behind us. And to the Democrats who are going to sit and whine and just try to be blockades in this, he's just going to continue to make them look dumb. He's going to bring more people out, and he's just going to shove this in their face that they are completely against the American people. They're against reality, and they just want to force home. It doesn't even matter. It's not even about policy anymore. It's not even about these bills. It's just about stop Trump, anything Trump does, because he's pro-America. I mean, that's really what it is. So we'll see what happens as Paul Ryan is threatening, and we want to see Obamacare repealed and replaced. Obviously, Rand Paul is very public about what he thinks needs to be done with the healthcare bill too. So a lot going on right now with healthcare, amongst other things, folks. I don't know if Alex is going to talk about this. He's been on air for half an hour now, but you've got John McCain, the insane. He's back on Trump about the wiretapping claims. He has to prove them, even though it's been proven in spades. John McCain, the insane, just totally out of his element, folks. U.S. deploys. Now, this is the big key that I really want Alex to talk about today. U.S. deploys drones to South Korea amid tensions with North. So we already know that there's some engagement going on with Donald Trump and South Korea. And obviously, North Korea is probably feeling threatened about this. So is this Donald Trump playing coy, but really playing strongman with North Korea? Is somebody finally going to do something about North Korea? I mean, Maxine Waters is out of her mind. I know she's not going to do anything. But then this story, guys, and I think Alex needs to talk about this because this is key. Japan plans to send largest warship to South China Sea. So you've already got the tensions building up on the South China Sea right now, a resource-rich environment. China is trying to dominate it. They're building islands. They're trying to militarize the zone, claim that they own all of that coastal territory with those rich resources. And the small nations around there are saying no. And they've actually won in court against China. But China is still doing it. And Japan, which it looks like is becoming a stronger ally under the Trump administration, is now sending their largest warship to South China. So you've got Japan engaging in the South China Sea, which is already very tense. And you have America now working with South Korea, sending drones. I think it was a B-52 bomber or something last week. I forget exactly. Yeah, B-52 bomber as well. And B-1 bombers. So, I mean, obviously we don't like war, folks. I'm not a warmonger. I don't like seeing engagement overseas. But, I mean, if we're going to do anything for injustice in the world, I mean, North Korea, I mean, my God, the nation states in the South China Sea that are just getting bullied by China. I mean, come on. So we've got all of this, and the administration, if not Trump himself, is addressing all of this, folks. Donald Trump is truly working hard for the American people. What an unbelievable Russian agent. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, and I know you know how to support this broadcast, but if you don't yet, go to InfoWarsStore.com. All kinds of groundbreaking products there. Products for cleansing, help you lose weight, help you get focused. We've got the Brain Force. We've got books, help you learn things about the history, about how we've gotten here, about how Trump became president. We've got the Trump-Pence 2020 shirt, 50% off right now. You can't get a t-shirt that has a cool design for $10. Is that still $10, folks? Look at this. Look at this Trump-Pence 2020. Is that still $10? You cannot get a t-shirt that is cool for $10. You can get like a plain t-shirt maybe at a local retail store. We sell original designs, political statement shirts for $10. That is almost at cost because we want to get the message out there. And we know that you do too. So that's why we sell everything. Check out all the new products. Caveman, we've got my favorite product, the Nascent Iodine Survival Shield X2, water filtration system, hats, shirts, everything, InfoWarsStore.com. That's how you support us. That's how you make us get bigger, and we do more live broadcasts like this. Alex Jones is live right now on the other side of this great big studio that we have here. So I'm going to sign off, but you just heard from Donald Trump listening to other people, American citizens who have been negatively impacted by the Affordable Care Act. He's trying to do something about it.
These arrogant globalists thought they defeated humanity. But the truth is, whether it's Obama or George Soros, they're losers. Everything they had, everything they threw against us failed. Now, just because we defeated these tyrants for now, doesn't mean we've won the war. The war is happening within our hearts, within our souls, within our minds. We have to be good. We have to be pure. We have to be strong. We have to build prosperity. And we have to bring everyone of every race, color, and creed together if we're going to truly defeat these tyrants who believed we were going to fail, who believed their divide and conquer would work. Yes, we've won the first phase, but the battle for the soul of humanity has just begun. But Obama and Hillary and Soros, you were losers from the day you were born. Of 1776. You're a white male!
It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones.
Move, bitch! Get out the way!
We pledge allegiance to one flag, and that flag is the American flag.
InfoWars helped fuel the rumor that President Obama is an ISIS supporter.
It's been a cozy relationship from the beginning. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope. And I think we'll be speaking a lot. Donald Trump and Alex Jones.
This means that Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States.
Waging war on corruption. It's
Alex Jones.
This is one of the biggest secrets out there.